Let's do it live on a Tuesday edition. You good? You hear what Kev said?
I did. Say it on the air.
Great, Kev.
Say it on the air, Kev.
Great, Kev. Go ahead. What did you say?
It was
to
The
Great
Rock's
Z?
idea that he was not there at WrestleMania.
Says
and
who?
Stepped away
But
from the
do
story
we
with Cena
believe
and
that,
Cody.
Kev? Do
But
we
why?
believe that?
Why?
Because he said he wanted to put the spotlight on them and did not like that. It seems like he doesn't like the Travis Scott stuff necessarily, but yeah, he wanted to give them the spotlight.
That is
How do you feel about that, Dr. Z?
erroneous.
Just said it on McAfee. That all courtesy of Pat McAfee show.
That was today that he was on McAfee? I thought that was going to be tomorrow. So that's
He's on
today.
right now.
He's on right now. So here's what I would say.
For those just catching up, this is regarding
WrestleMania
a
and the fact that
beef-
The Rock completely disappears from TV. By the way,
At WrestleMania.
here's the thing that I would say. I think it was pretty obvious that an 12-hour self-aggrandizing speech given by Triple H at his own Hall of Fame induction ceremony for the company that he runs, he didn't mention The Rock once, and he mentioned basically everybody who's ever wrestled in the history of the world. I think they're beefing. That's what I think.
Do you think they're going to take that beef into the ring
No.
to create juice,
No.
or do you think
No.
it's legitimate?
Triple
beef?
H can't. I think it's legitimate beef. I think what could end up happening, and there are people speculating that there could at one point be a major power struggle between, because Rock's on the board and Rock is The Rock, and Triple H, and maybe Rock tries to take over and put Gewurz back in as writer. I'm trying to source this information. I do have some good connections.
You have some connections.
I'm trying to source this out,
You're like the
but
Peter
that's-
Schrager of the WWE.
That's right. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Give me some
I
attention.
think you're doing Zagura wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, no, I don't.
I love
welcome.
Peter.
No, I
Peter
just
Schrags
Schrags
doing a
is
fine
wonderful,
job.
but we were talking. I mean, you're sourcing,
Yeah.
working on some sourcing here on this type of thing. Who's got the money in that operation,
TKO. It's they're owned by TKO.
and who
So the
owns
people
that?
own UFC and
Is that Saudis?
No, I don't think so. I think it's Ari Emanuel.
Oh, he owns.
Yes, it's
All
Ari
of that?
Emanuel.
Yeah. Really? And he's tight with the great one.
Yeah. So Triple H works for him.
In
Or
essence,
does
you
he
could
have,
say
does
that.
he have some shareholders as being married to Vince's daughter? Or is Vince's family totally out of it from a shares perspective?
Vince is totally out of it.
I know he is, but
Yeah,
like
but
from
I
an
think
ownership perspective.
I'm sure he has some. I'm sure Steph has some. Shane's
And then
got
what
some.
does The Rock have?
A lot.
Does he
He's
have
the
more?
Rock. He's the Rock.
I know, but I don't know
I don't
like
know
how
that-
that
I don't
works
know if
out.
that's fully-
Before it went to TKO, how much of it was owned by Vince?
All.
Okay. So then that would be the interesting part: is who makes up TKO and what percentage? Who has the
I'm
more
sure
power.
that's available. G-Man.
G-Man!
Huh?
You know
Anyway.
what? Days like this is going to fool you into thinking you like April.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, so I've been going through a crazy thing here, but it's fixed now, which is, and you saw this getting a text from me last night.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I went green.
Okay. So I didn't know what to make of it. I saw
It's terrifying.
And my stuff didn't go through to you right
No,
away.
dude, I didn't get. I
You didn't-
missed. I don't know how many text messages or from whom.
Yeah.
I was told that there might have been like a dream scenario luminary who may have texted me in this period. We can't say that
We
it
can't
didn't
say that it
happen.
didn't happen. We don't know.
And so now there's a fear that that's over. That
Oh man.
because we can't know.
We won't know for sure. What happened? Why are you green?
So believe it or not,
All right.
in the
Let me get
year
my pen.
in the year 2025.
Okay. 2025.
So I had been on. I don't know why for a long time. I'd been on an AT&T phone, but we all need to be on Verizon now.
Okay.
So, and I'd been long overdue. I'd been rolling around in a 13, which, by the way, for me, just fine.
By the way, a 10.
Just fine.
My
Yep.
kids keep going, Dad, that's a dork phone. I'm like, I don't, it's fine for me. It's all I need. Does all the things I need. It works fine. It charges fine. Why do I need more? Continue.
Same. Well, the camera's better. Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. I'm not the documentarian of the family
No,
anyway.
I'm not Nat Geo.
No.
I mean, come on.
We know who is.
Yeah.
The great Miss K. By the way, I don't know where my pen is. Maybe I took it.
It's in your hand.
It's all discombobulated. This isn't the pen I want to be right with. Pen is,
There's a blue one.
this pen's it's already chafing my finger. Anyway.
I don't like the look of that pen at all. It looks like somebody bit off the clip on the
Yeah,
end of it,
right
to be
here. And
quite
this
honest
is
with you.
feel that. That's a very it's not it doesn't feel good.
Z has had about 500 reasonable crash outs since he got here at 11:30.
Crash out.
Yeah.
That's
I-
the boys
I-
are
I
big
had a
crashing
real
out.
No.
I had
We've
a
all
real-
talked
felt
about
tip.
it.
And they were reasonable. No, I
Reasonable.
got I didn't even bring my bag. There it is. There's my pen.
Oh, there you go.
What's it doing down there?
Causing one of those crash outs. See.
No, you didn't cause a crash out. I
No,
just
Kevin,
right now
this was long
I
before
don't
you
believe
went.
it.
All right, so you have a felt tip.
There we go. We're back. So I had to get a new phone, which is
it's fine.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Get a new phone. So I go to the 16, which is I guess is the new one.
Okay.
There is a thing going on with it's Apple. It's not carrier related, I've been told. That when you upgrade your phone now,
Okay.
that it can take up to 24 hours for it to like restore your iMessage capabilities.
Okay. Now I want to.
So that happened, and let me tell you something.
You're still green.
No.
Look,
I'm
look,
going to test you right now.
I
Hold
just
on.
texted you hello. Did you get it?
Hello. Yeah, but here, look, you're back. Now we're back. Look at that. Aren't you blue? It says iMessage on mine.
Now blue.
We're blue. We're
The
back.
one I just sent you was green though at 106.
Yeah, but we're back.
But it took you to send, and now we're
Said,
blue.
yeah,
and
now
back.
we're blue. Now we're back. I know. Big.
I was
huge.
very much.
So listen, it caused Beatbox said that our friendship is on the rocks
even
right
know what
now.
to
He
make
said
of it. I
I'm
don't
we're
understand
on a
this.
temporary hiatus.
my gifts aren't going through the way that I want.
No.
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 It's very disappointing.
No. And then there was a problem on top of that, is I'm a GIF machine.
Yeah.
I enjoy a GIF, and I enjoy a customized gift once you open my eyes to that world.
Oh sure, yeah.
And we save them all. And so initially when they gave me my new phone, they gave me a phone with half the memory of the phone I had turned in.
Oh baby.
Well, that's not going to
I
work.
think that's not gonna
So the
work.
phone shut down in the middle of the night and was like, yeah, there's no more room for any of this garbage, my friend. And I'm like, wait a second. And then I wake up, I'm still green.
What has happened?
I mean, it's like, like when Larry David said he has no identity in the passenger seat of his own car. I had no identity as a green.
No.
And I felt lost. And as I told you, there are reports.
Yeah.
People are saying that there was a particular luminary who texted me in this time to, want to
potentially
connect.
a holy grail type situation.
Yeah, and now we don't know. It's just out there. We don't know.
You can't say it didn't happen.
We can't. So we'll never know if I'll get to meet Jeff George or not. G-Man's still working on it, though. But
He's working on it.
the report is, once he was green, he was out.
He was out.
So-
bailed at that point.
Yeah.
So here's my question.
What are you sucking down? This
Dude,
guy comes into the mic like mid-chew.
Mid-chew. I'm
What is
sitting over here. I
going
got
on?
delicious looking flank steak.
What the hell is? It's the Tuesday of
Dude,
draft week. We
yeah.
got Schrager saying we're taking calls. We got Gibby eating. You're worried about being green. What the hell's going on around here?
But I'm back.
Dogs and cats. I don't know if you're back. So here's my question.
No, I'm back.
You
no,
wouldn't know.
Nathan had to text Bo for it to work.
Yeah.
So do you have to go through everybody on your phone and be like,
Oh, that's
"Hi,"
interesting.
and activate?
So the only people that I was actually able to get messages
That's a good
back
question,
from that were texts were two people. Native Greens
Okay. Gibby.
and Blues that I greened first.
Okay.
So I reached out to you. You were
green.
able to text me. Now, if you had just texted me in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
I would have woken up as though it had never
happened.
So we don't know what's been missed. But I'll tell you, it's scary going all of a sudden being green. I a lot of pride. I'm a blue man.
A lot of things flying through that all of a
Dabu
sudden
dee,
shut
dabu
down.
die. I'm blue. I wore a blue shirt, two shades of blue,
I too.
to try to bring it back. That was like done on purpose.
Blue pen.
So anyway, that's been going on. So if you do end up having to at some
Yeah.
point do that,
It's going to take a
draft week, not the week to do it.
Not it. No. Wait.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
But we're slowly coming back according to my
Well, you
restore
came-
here.
Yeah, you were good.
I know, but the other thing that's tough about getting a new phone, and I say this and people make fun of it, makes me feel like an old person, but I don't care. We're still 134 gigs to go to finish restoring my apps and data. So we've got a little bit of a long haul here.
You got a haul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm maxed. Whatever the biggest is, I need all of it.
Yeah, I'm a 256 guy, but I'm rocking at least about 190 loaded G's.
And there's a lot of cloud that I'm using up too.
Yeah. So
I don't even know what happens in the cloud. I don't know.
me
where that
neither.
is.
It's fun
I'm
up there though.
storing it.
There's a lot of stuff there.
Feels like you'd bounce around.
But yeah, it's been tough. But you got all your apps need their passwords re-put in, and you know how like it's a disaster. I don't know how to access any of this stuff.
So you didn't get like I feel like normally when I've done this before, Like I go to the Apple store and then they plug it in.
No, they did all that. Some of them go through, but then some of them require because they don't want somebody who just got your phone to then
Okay,
have access to
yeah.
your bank accounts and your
Right,
Venmos
yeah.
and your 401ks, which thank you. Then
Yeah,
you have to
that's
go through it
helpful.
again.
Yeah.
But a lot of these places now, we live in a world where not only do you have to change the password every 60 days or 90
Yeah.
days for if there hasn't been a breach, let's let it roll, my
Yeah.
opinion. And then it can't be the same as any of the last 5 passwords.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Oh, and it can't
How
just
can I
now-
remember this?
Now they're like telling you can't just like add a number to it. Like this is whatever my
Yeah.
password was 1. And then, now I've changed it. Whatever my password was 2 and 3.
Right,
And then you
sure.
can build it. And now I know where I'm at. No, they're
I'm
making
down.
it hard. It's impossible. And listen, that's because I guess these cyber thieves out there are very, very talented at what they do. They're very good, very dangerous.
Very dangerous people. We got to get them out of the country. So on the new app laptop that I got recently, it's got thumbprint right here.
Oh, it's lovely.
So when you there's no doing this anymore. You just thumbprint and boom.
But you probably still had to get everything reestablished.
I did, but I actually did it. I was at home. I connected the two of them. It took probably 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Old laptop to this one.
beautiful.
And it migrated everything over, all the passwords over everything, and then it's all thumbprinted.
It's beautiful.
So if you're going to steal it, you better steal my right thumb too. Saw it off. That's the only way in.
Well, I'll tell you what. I know somebody who can get you a toe by 3 o'clock.
You want a toe or a thumb? I can get you one right away.
Green nail polish.
Whatever you need, buddy. That's
There are
easy.
ways, dude.
There are ways.
You don't even want to know about them.
No, you don't. All right, we had Peter Schrager. This was on ESPN this morning, and I know it's been a big point of contention and conversation this morning here in the greater metropolitan Cleveland area. Here is Schrager on ESPN. This was on Get Up this morning. Let's have a listen.
There have been phone calls made to both the Browns at 2 and the Giants at 3 with the intention to move up from several different sources telling me there are teams who are looking to get up in this draft to either the 2 or the 3 spot. The assumption being to move up to the 2 or the 3 spot, it would be for Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or the running back, Ashton Genty, who everyone expects to go somewhere in that 5 to 7 to 8 range. There have been teams making calls, and those teams are not immediately slamming down the phone. The Browns at 2, the Giants at 3. Everyone assumes it's going to be chalk, that this is going to go Cam Ward, it's going to go Travis Hunter, it's going to go Abdul Carter. Not so fast. I think the 2 spot gets very interesting if the Browns are listening to a Godfather deal for them to trade back and someone to trade up into the top 3.
I think Peter Schrager's really good at TV, and I think that if you really listen to what was said there isn't anything that would come as out of the ordinary or would come as a shock. Nothing.
No.
But the way he's really good at TVs, and he was on Good Morning Football for a long time. That's a long show where you have to continue to spin information and continue to have topics going, and it's only about the league. And so he's very good at it. And what he did there was say a lot and with various inflection points make it seem like this is staggering information, and the reality is every team in this league would take a call. And you know how we know that?
Because they do.
Because they do. And you know how else you know it? Because we watched Hard Knocks last year, and everybody knew the Patriots and Elliott Wolf were taking Drake May at number 3. And on the day of the draft, the Giants are calling and saying, has anything changed? You know why? Because they take calls.
They take calls.
You pick up the phone, man.
Listen, we're going to
He's really good at TV.
I talked to Andrew Barry last night, and we're going to hear that interview. And in that interview, he said, we're going to take the full time on the shot clock because that's the reason. Can somebody make me an offer that I am compelled to listen to? And that's interesting. And we'll talk about it, I think, when we come out of that a little bit, because I asked him a couple of questions that I want people to hear the answers for no spoilers, please, that are interesting. So this is actually kind of ties into what we're talking about. So that'll be a minor part of the whole thing. But it says, like, what do you interpret as a Godfather offer? So to me, that has to include a future first, and it's probably got to include another really good.
You know what he was doing today?
What?
Being chauffeured around.
By who?
He pulled up. I'm parking the cross of the street. He's honking. He's in the passenger seat being driven around. He's running a business.
He's running a business.
He's running a business.
He doesn't have
can't
time
be
to
bothered
drive.
with driving. He's running a business.
So That's a Godfather offer. Future first,
Yeah.
and then another good pick, whether it's a second or a third this year, but a pick that you feel is a good pick.
Just to be clear, let's just say it's the Raiders. You would want 6 and a 1.
Yep, and like a early 3.
Early 3. Okay, all right.
And the other part of it is, and I think the package changes. How far down am I being asked to go?
Yeah.
Shelby Harris in the house. Good to see him. How far am I being asked to go? And so one of the questions I asked Andrew Barry, and I didn't ask for specifics, but how many blue chip players are in this draft?
Mm-hmm.
And if the answer, let's just say we'll use what we have heard, that there are 6.
Okay.
So if there are 6 blue chip players in this draft, I would imagine, train down to 6, you still get to get one of those blue chip players. Now, if somebody's asking you to trade outside of those blue chip players, then I think it becomes significant in terms of what the compensation. To me, then that's a first and a second for me. If you say I can't get a blue chip player in this draft, then I need a first and a second.
Yeah. Here's what I think you have to do some real thought on.
I'll do it.
If I'm falling back, let's say that it's back into the teens or
Well, and we've heard many people say that pick 10 versus pick 32 this year are no different.
okay. So if it's somewhere into the teens, let's say, and I'm trading to a team somewhere in the teens. So that's a team that was borderline playoff team, right on the edge, 500 or slightly above, slightly below. And now I'm giving them the consensus best player in this draft, Travis Hunter. That pick next year from them, the odds are it will be worse than the pick that I'm going to get right now. So now this isn't a Bears situation where they traded a pick to Carolina and future ones so that they could draft Bryce Young, but you were getting back a first-round pick from a bad team that was going to start a rookie quarterback. They knew it was going to be a high pick. They didn't think it would be number 1 overall, but they knew it would be a very high pick. This ain't that. So you want to talk about blue chips? Here's what you can't do. You can't miss out on 2 years' worth of blue chip picks because you're trading around trying to accumulate more stuff.
Agreed.
We need
I
dudes.
agree. Well, that's why, to me, you've got to stay in that, whatever that blue chip area is to you. And let's say the Saints at 9 are like, you know what? We want to get up there. We want it. Saints, I'd feel kind of okay with that. Now you're outside of the blue chip range, so it's going to cost a little more on the price tag. But the likelihood of the Saints winning their division, the Saints are probably the 4th team going into that division. And if they're coming up to get a rookie quarterback, that's something. If you're trading to a team that has an established quarterback and you're handing them Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, that I'm not as into.
No.
No, I'm not.
No. So if that's if that's the game that you want to play, I guess that's how you would define that as a Godfather offer. But to me,
I like the idea. Look, all along we've all said it, and I said it. I wanted a quarterback at 2. It feels like that's not happening. Now, Charles Robinson, and is that referenced anywhere in here, guys, the Charles Robinson article? No.
Yahoo Sports.
It is not.
Locked
Yahoo
in.
Sports.
Okay, so Charles Robinson talked
You're right, dude.
to 10 execs in the NFL, 10, and did kind of an informal survey about some important things in this draft. 5 of the 10 still think Shedeur Sanders is a top 10 pick. I think the other 4 thought he would go in the mid-first round, and there was one that thought he was actually was a second round, early second round. So still 5 thought he goes in the top 10. Jalen Milroe, all 10 on their boards have him as a late second or third round pick. In fact, he's at most in the third round.
Yep.
So that's interesting, and we know who Charles Robinson talks to. I found that interesting,
Yes,
and that kind
right.
of buttresses some things that you and I have sensed.
Yes.
Could somebody come up for the quarterback? Maybe. There are some people who think that, and Jackson Dart is higher on some teams' boards than others. Tyler Shuck is higher than Jackson Dart on some teams' boards.
Yep.
That's all kind of in play there. I just want to make sure I get a stud that helps us score. And if it's not a quarterback, then let's get the best offensive player on the board. Whoever that is, honestly, at this point.
Yes. Yep.
Just get the best offensive player on the board. And many people think that is Travis Hunter. I do think, now if these execs are to be believed, there's no way that there's a dream scenario where Shedeur's there for you at 33.
No. I don't think so either. I don't buy it. My whole thing on the Shedeur thing, this whole process is he's the low-hanging fruit. Same thing I just said about Peter Schrager being really good at TV. Shedeur Sanders is really easy content.
Very.
It's easy to do. You could do Shedeur. You and I could have done Shedeur Sanders for 3 months on this. Easy. And if we were in a world where we were taking calls and saying, do you like Shedeur Sanders, yes or no, you could do that all day if you wanted to, and there would be an opinion on it. Yep. And I thought Dane Brugler had a really interesting tweet he quoted this morning where he said, it's okay to like Shedeur Sanders. He feels like I'm paraphrasing, he's the only prospect in this draft that you either have to love or hate, that it's like you can't just like him. And that's
weird.
Right, but it's also a scenario where this is what content is. Most people aren't interested in the gray. Most people are interested in black or white in the extremes.
You have people,
but this whole process resides in the gray. There are no sure things, which goes back to a show you and I would have done in January, where we said there is no sure thing.
Nope.
Travis Hunter is not a sure thing.
Abdul Carter's not a sure thing.
No.
Shedeur Sanders isn't a sure thing. Cam Ward's not a sure thing.
No. And none of you out there listening would come on and say, for sure, and I'll put my kid's college on it. No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't.
You would not.
No.
Because there are no sure things in the NFL draft.
No. The only sure thing is you can't win in this league without a quarterback consistently.
That's it.
You cannot have a sustained winning program without a quarterback, which is why I want to get one. And, my goal right now is coming out of this with Hunter and Sure. But you have people who are literally fighting with each other, like blood feuds.
Yeah.
Gangs of New York style, as Content Browns always uses those gifs to describe it.
Bill the Butcher.
The Carters and the Hunters. Like, I prefer Travis Hunter, but if the Browns do take Abdul Carter, so they got the best defensive player in this draft, like, that's not a bad thing. People are acting like you can only do one thing at two. My strong preference is offense. I think we need to score the ball. I think that's where the league's going. But it's not like I would be so we got the best defense. Now we got Miles and...
Yeah, you can talk yourself into either.
Of course, you can talk yourself into, but the notion that, like, why would you ever take Travis Hunter, to me, is absurd.
Yeah.
And same with Abdul Carter. I've laid out why I would take Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
And I feel very confident in the rationale for that, and we'll see how that plays out. But, like, the Browns are in a very good position. They're going to get either the best offensive player or the best defense player. Now, if they trade down, then it gets dicey because now we're back into theoreticals.
Well, let's just do this exercise really quick. If you want to go 6 or elite, and at the end of that he talked about Ashton Genty. So if you went to 6 with Vegas,
okay,
and Vegas wants either one, Travis or Genty, either one of them, whoever they want to go to 2 to get to make sure nobody else gets. Maybe they want to get a hell of Jacksonville to make sure
Jacksonville supposedly is hot on Genty right now.
Yeah, so let's say Vegas is like, no, we want him. Pete's like, he's my Marshawn Lynch. I want him. Go get him. All right, so if that's the deal and you fall back to 6, you're getting 6. Next year's 1 would have to be in it, and then
maybe an early
then
third.
Now a third.
So you'd have an early third. So you'd have 2 picks in the 60s.
Okay. So what that would do then, let's say that is for Trav. If Vegas goes up to get Trav and Genty goes, then 6, you're talking about the tackle out of LSU or the defensive tackle out, Mason Graham out of Michigan. Those would be the guys that would be in the wheelhouse at 6.
Unless you, in your organization, which I would hold out hope for, you think that, like, T-Mac is a blue chip player. You think McMillan is Drake London, T. Higgins, Mike Evans.
Yeah, or maybe they think Shedeur is.
Or maybe at that point, maybe say, now we got the 1, we got a 3, let's take Shedeur here, and we got all these picks to buttress everything else. Or maybe we're all about, and by the way, there are people I've read today that think that Loveland is actually going to go in the top 10. Mm-hmm. Because he's kind of like a Travis Kelce. I'd have no problem taking it. I want to score. Yeah. That's where I'm at. So the tackle, I guess you could say, is a part of scoring, but that's not dynamic. And listen, the Hoff is the great one. I'd love to have somebody we never had to worry about at that position. I'm a big skill guy. I think you need the skill, and then let's get our lines together.
Our lines, by the way, are
our
fine.
line is
They're
for
not,
sure.
It's
both
more
lines
than
are
good.
middle to top half of the league.
Neither one are weaknesses.
Right.
Whereas we have real positional weaknesses at other places.
Yes, we do. Yeah, our receiving core right now is near the bottom. We only have 1 tight end really on the roster that's got proven track record or proven, we'll call it pedigree.
Yeah.
In terms of draft status. So yeah, I'm with you. Our running back room needs some juice. So that's where I would still want to find a way to do that. And maybe there's a scenario where you could go from 1 to 6. Somebody wants Mason Graham really bad. Although I could see Mason Graham coming here. I could see them say, all right, we're gonna have Mike Hall and Mason Graham with Miles and Wolf.
Block us, we dare you.
Yeah. Because Mike Hall, I think, is going to be a problem. I think Mike Hall is going to be, if he can stay healthy, I think he is going to be a game-wrecking monster.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of what you're looking at, right? That to me that's what it would be. I still want to find a way to come out here right now. My heart of hearts is set on Travis Hunter and Shedeur. I still think Shedeur is really like, my opinion on him has not changed at all.
Bucky Brooks had him as the number 1 quarterback yesterday in his. Jeff Risdon had him ahead of Cam Ward in his. That's something that's gotten lost in all of this, is there are still people who like Shedeur more than Cam.
Yes, there are.
There is this dialogue out there that he's closer to a second, third round guy than he is the first guy. Meantime, people are ignoring that there are several folks who still have him as QB1.
And I
know
think
Mel does too.
There are some teams in the NFL that do. There's a team in the NFL that has Shuck as the number 1 quarterback in this draft.
Not wild. How eye of the beholder it is.
Well, that's what it is.
Totally
It is what it
subjective
is.
process.
It is completely. Yeah. Let's get Rock in here. We'll ask Rock. Rock, come
knows. It's been a lot of that out of Rock lately. It's a lot of looking down. It's a lot of not seeing the juice that I'm used to seeing out of her.
No,
Come on. Peacock around.
Smell the roses.
Smell around a little bit. Look around. Players are back in the building. Phase 1 today through May 2nd. JOK is here. I saw the video we put of him walking in. That was cool to see.
It was great. I got to see some of the guys earlier. Talked with our good friend MJ Emerson. Talked to Obo Okoronkwo, and saw just a bunch of the guys. It's great to see him. Great to see him back in the building. It gives definitely there's an energy to it, and really kind of. I will say this from just a few conversations. There's an intensity. These guys, they were sick about last year. Last year did not sit well, and hopefully, that intensity and that focus will manifest itself in a team that plays to and exceeds its potential and is a winning football team this year.
Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming up next, that conversation that Dr. Z alluded to, his one-on-one with Andrew Berry. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans celebrate the excitement of the NFL Draft at the Crib. It's presented by Howard Hanna. April 24th, 25th, and 26th. Cleveland Browns alumni Josh Cribbs and other surprise guests will be on site at the exclusive home open house event to help you draft your dream home in Westlake. When it comes to buying or selling, every client is a top draft pick with Howard Hanna. And now here is Z, one-on-one with your general manager, Andrew Barry.
Very happy now to be
You guys know.
manager of your Cleveland Browns, Andrew Barry and AB. I was joking with you about this with you a second ago, but how happy are you that we're finally here, actually at draft week?
I will be happier when we get to Thursday and the draft actually kicks off. But it's been a long time coming, so we're looking forward to this week.
All right, take us through your process, and you can obviously, if you don't have to be completely honest about it. But I would imagine in my mind that you guys have gone through enough scenarios to know that you're picking second. If player A goes 1, that means we're going to go here, and if player A doesn't go 1, then we can take that guy. But have you got it down to like, we know who we're taking at number 2?
I'd say this. We use all the time available to us. I think what we're looking for is an ability to just maximize what we do with the second pick, and whether that's taking a player, trading it for a vet, moving up, moving down. We're going to do whatever opportunity presents itself to maximize the Browns.
All right. In the event that we don't trade down, and in the event that we do just stay there and take a pick, do you know who you're taking at number 2?
No, we'll use the whole clock on that one, Nate.
Okay. All right. So what would go into the board at this point, if it's not fully set in stone yet, and we still have 3 days, and as you talked about then being on the clock, what could necessarily change the board at this point?
Yeah, it's less about the board at this point, Nate. And really once we hit the month of April, I say general rule of thumb is I have this no noom film after April 1st, just because then I think you can really get your head
too much analysis,
cluttered,
right?
That type of thing. And so really April is really built upon scenario planning and strategy, and those are really the exercises that we've been going through the past couple of weeks, and we'll continue to do as we approach Thursday night.
Let's go through a theoretical exercise that there's a really talented offensive player who some have compared to Shohei Ohtani, who can do multiple things, and there's this really talented defensive player. And you have needs for both. Obviously, you can only pick one. How does it go about getting, just from the philosophical side, offense, scoring versus defense, and then getting into a consensus? And I guess ultimately you don't need a consensus. You're in this chair because you're going to make that final decision, but I'm sure you would like to get near a consensus. What's that process like, arguing when you're talking about 2 incredibly talented players?
Yeah, I guess, we would probably look at this draft. There are more than just 2 incredibly talented players. Obviously you're talking about Travis and Abdul.
It's a theoretical.
But there are also a number of really good quarterbacks at the top of the board. Guys that are leading the trenches. So all of that comes into play. And it's usually less about, okay, this player versus that player, but how do you ultimately maximize the full allotment of your picks? Because there is a little bit of a supply and demand issue as you work through the draft at some positions. But obviously the first priority is to try and get the best player that you possibly can. So those are all the discussions that that we're having right now, and we'll work through over the next 72 hours.
And I know you guys are at the forefront of probably getting any angle you can to get an advantage, but how has the league changed, and thus perhaps a prioritization of offense versus defense or particular positions in that, even over the last 5 years, and for you going back to even, let's say, 2016, because I imagine it seems like a lot. It seems like there's a very strong correlation between your ability to score points consistently and to win in the NFL.
I think the beauty of the NFL is there are a number of ways that you can construct a team and win. Certainly the easiest path forward is have a highly effective quarterback, have a highly efficient passing offense. That usually is pretty stable and that endures over time. But if you're a team that doesn't have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, you do have to find other ways to win. And I think you've seen that if you go through the playoff teams, the way that actually, let's just take Kansas City. The way Kansas City won, early in Patrick's career versus maybe the past couple of years is very completely different. The way that Denver and Pittsburgh made the playoffs was a lot different than the way that Detroit did. And so I think there are multiple avenues that you can take. And a big part of that just depends on the players who are available to you.
All right, so you talked about the quarterback position, and obviously when you're picking second and in need of a quarterback, you'd like there to be a guy that is worthy. And we'll find out if you think there is a quarterback worthy of that number 2 overall pick. But going into it, you're going to have Kenny Pickett, a former first-round pick in his own right, 15-10 as a starter in the league, and Joe Flacco, who was very successful for us a few years ago. In some ways, if the board doesn't fall necessarily the way you want it with the quarterback position, is Kenny Pickett 26? He's won 15 games, 2/3 or 3/5 of his starts in the league. Is he somebody you could look at as a real swing at that position?
Yeah, I think, with the players that we have in the room right now, we obviously know Joe very well from his time with us in 2023. Kenny's a player we did a lot of work on, ahead of the draft, and obviously saw a number of starts against him when he's with Pittsburgh. And we do think that Kenny has a skill set that marries really well with what Kevin wants to do offensively. He's mobile, he has a good arm, he's really smart, and we do think that he has some of his best football ahead of him. But that doesn't mean that we're not necessarily going to add to the room as we go through the course of the offseason, and it could be as early as this week.
How important when you're looking at the quarterback position is saying, okay, we've got Kevin. It sounds like we want to go back to kind of some of that offense that he ran a few years ago, to finding a quarterback who excels in that system versus maybe the best piece of clay.
So I think we'll always look for the best piece of clay, like quite frankly.
Okay.
And you want to try and get the best player that you can at the position. And Kevin's smart enough and adaptable enough to cater a scheme around a player's strengths. That's something that that we all believe in. But also realizing that quarterbacks can produce at a really high level in a variety of ways. The way that Brock Purdy produces is totally different than the way that Lamar Jackson produces.
Yes.
But they're still both excellent quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's something that we have to be aware of.
All right. At the beginning, you kind of said we're going to take all our time. We can pick a player, we can trade a player for a veteran, or we can trade down. When you go into a draft, and I'm not asking for the number, but is there a number of what you guys call blue chip players on your draft board? Yeah,
so we do tier our prospects, and in any given class, that like not all draft classes are created equally,
right.
And in 1 year it could be potentially deep with elite caliber prospects, and in others it can be a little bit shallower. So yeah, that is something we do. I think it's something that's probably pretty commonplace across the league.
So with that knowledge, if you're picking at second, if you are to trade back, do you want to stay in whatever, make sure like, hey, if we think there's, let's call it 6, we think there's 7, 5, that you don't want to go out of that blue chip, or does it depend on the compensation that would make you maybe more comfortable to get out of what we call the blue chip players?
I think it would depend on the cost of the deal, and I think it would depend on the position that the prospects play and thereby their impact on the game. No two classes are alike, and I'd like to sit here and say that it was there's a cookie cutter way to approach it, but that just isn't the case.
Are you surprised there have not been any pre-draft trades yet in the first round?
Not necessarily. I guess I'd have to check what it's been. Maybe
so
know this. Maybe
since
you know
1993.
this. Mm-hmm.
When Joe Montana was traded to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
This is the closest to the draft that there's been without a first-round trade. And this is the first year in the modern draft era that all 32 teams have had their first-round pick.
How about that? I did not know that.
So
I guess I am surprised.
And you like the art of the deal. You enjoy that. So are you a little surprised that there hasn't been what we call typical wheeling and dealing at this point?
Well, maybe that just means it'll be a more eventful Thursday night if that's the case.
Well, you're looking forward to getting to Thursday night. When you look at this draft overall, it's not just about pick number 2. Mm-hmm. There's pick number 33. There's a possibility now that pick's been traded 3 years in a row. Sometimes a move up. Sometimes somebody's come up to 33. When you look at kind of that 2 and then go into 33, the possibilities that you have there, almost kind of a second first-round pick, how important is it to you that those 2 are real impact players for this organization?
I mean, I think with every pick, ideally you'd like to get an impact player. There are only so many of those that exist, and certainly only so many of those that exist in a given class. I think what we're more focused on are on players that have the best, long-term odds of sustained success. It's less about a particular guy hitting the ground running because rookies acclimate at their own pace, but we're really focused more on what the individual can be at maturity.
Do you feel like this draft, and we've heard pundits say this, but that when you get into, let's call it, pick 50. There's actually some good depth in that kind of, call it late second through third and maybe even to the early fourth, where the Browns happen to have, at least right now, 3 picks.
Yeah, I think there's talent across all positions. I think there's certainly certain positions where it's probably deep into day 2 of the draft. But you'll probably have to ask me in 3 years. I mean, nobody really knows at this point, is the truth.
Has the way we viewed running backs in the National Football League changed over the course of the last 5 years?
I think it has league-wide, but probably more in the, call it, negative direction. Or maybe negative is the wrong way to put it. I think people on teams would tell you they realize, like, look, this is a player who's going to touch the ball 250 to 300 times in a given year, and you want the best player that you can. I think there's also the conflict in players at the running back position just typically have less longevity, and the challenge becomes, okay, like how do you value that from a resource allocation perspective, whether it's with picks or dollars? I think that's really the tension or conflict, so to speak. But I don't think that means that, like, the league as a whole is not as the running back position as unimportant.
Oh, we saw last year a lot of free agents get big deals and play very well for their teams, and Saquon obviously just got rewarded bigly by Philadelphia. All right, you guys go through a lot of simulations. Is that something that goes on this week, or are we done with kind of the simulations?
We just finished up today, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times did you walk out of these simulations pumped?
I'll be honest, Nate.
Is it like 25% were pumped, 50 middle, 50 we're happy?
It's not really for that. It's actually really more to tease out stress points. That's really more how we use it, or if we take maybe an alternate path, what that could potentially look like. So I'd say it's less about maybe going to the draft feeling great, like, all right, this is what's going to happen, and more about doing another step and, like, teasing out preferences.
I remember a few years ago there was no scenario that allowed you to get Greg Newsome and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and it did work out. So is there a non-realistic scenario that must be realistic that you'd be thrilled about that you won't share with us here, but that afterwards I'm going to ask you, was that?
I mean, I'm sure I could think of a couple, but I'm not going to hold my breath that they would happen.
All right. What's been your most fun part of this draft process, getting a first-round pick again, going on all the tours, having all the visits? What's been the most fun part about this experience to you?
I'd say my favorite part of every draft process is getting to know the prospects and their families, early on. And you kind of walk out saying, man, you kind of build these relationships in the spring, but most of the individuals you meet, you actually don't get to add to your team. And so that's a little bit the sad part, because, like, the relationship kind of maybe tapers off from there, particularly with the family. But it's really cool to get to know them as people, to get to know their support system. That's the best part.
Well, AB, we appreciate the time. Obviously, big draft, big opportunity to really improve this franchise, and excited to see you get in there, get in that room right over there, make some picks, and get this thing going.
All right. Appreciate you, Nate.
You think about this process, and I think it was a couple of years ago at the Combine, we had him take us through, like, that process about when does it start, when do you get it formulated. It's go time now. We're 48 hours, a little more than, before you're going to start making picks in this thing.
They know what they're
and they know.
Yes.
I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yes.
Now, there are contingencies upon contingencies. If this happens, we want to do this. And my hunch is that's what much of this last week or so has been, is if this happens, we do what?
Well, yeah, but at number 2,
not much can happen.
Do they take Cam Ward or do they not? And if they take Cam Ward, we do this. If they don't take Cam Ward, we do that, which is take Cam Ward ourselves.
Yeah. Kind of simple.
Now, if the Cam Ward goes, there's take a player or trade. I mean, that's the options. Now, it's interesting. He worked into his comment there, which I found to be a very interesting comment. He listed the options as, we pick a player at 2 in the interview that just played.
Mm-hmm.
We trade that pick,
Uh-huh.
and then he said, for a veteran.
Uh-huh.
He said we trade that pick for a veteran,
Uh-huh.
which that wasn't on my radar
No.
prior to that comment, or we trade down for picks. Who,
Yeah.
and we might need to rely on G-Man and his in-depth knowledge of everything, what veteran player could be available for the second overall pick? And to me, that has to be a quarterback.
Brock Purdy.
I don't think you'd
Pedro
you do
would
that.
combust.
I don't know if you'd be unhappy or happy.
I'd be pretty damn happy. I think he's a pretty good player.
I think he's a very good player.
Like 2 overall.
But wouldn't you
great,
rather
but
have-
It's got to be a quarterback.
Here's the problem with Brock Purdy is, you'd have 1 year with him cheap, but then you'd have to pay him next year.
All right, so now you're talking about. So now you need a veteran quarterback under contract. So is that like Stafford?
I just don't understand how any of it works with our financial situation.
I don't either. I'm trying to look like the quarterbacks who Schefter thought it was Kyler. It was, for a while it was Bryce, but obviously he played well down the stretch for Carolina, so no there.
I don't think there's really anybody
not
that
really
fits it. The Jags say they are not trading Trevor Lawrence.
That would be the one. Like if Jacksonville, two to Jacksonville for Lawrence, then they can draft at 2 and at 5.
Yeah, so they got quarterback and Genty.
Yeah, they could do both.
The funny thing, though, to me is that their running back situation isn't bad. Etienne's not
and
bad, and
Bigsby's
Tank Bigsby's good too.
Yeah, they're both. They have weapons at both. Yeah, there isn't anybody else that would be available at 2 that would be worth 2.
Right.
Purdy's the only one I could think of who's unsigned, but again, it'd be 1 year and then you'd have to pay him.
Justin Herbert. I know they're impossible, but man can dream.
Could you imagine?
Oh man, I'd be so pumped.
Herbert came walking in here,
Striding. Yeah, a lot of
With that
activities,
arm.
a lot of monitors.
They got monitors moving around. Gotta have multiple monitors. Yeah. So if you're gonna move 2 for a veteran, it's a quarterback, and it better be. It's got to be a franchise one. Is what it's got to be. We'll continue our NFL draft comps. We'll hit the running back room coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets, and you place your first wager of 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for round 2 of our NFL draft comps. We are in the running back room, and we are joined by the G-Man.
Hi,
buddy.
how's it going?
Yeah, we're hanging.
All right, we got running backs today, as Bo said. We'll get a little traveling music underneath it.
We do, yes.
And
traveling away.
let's start with Ashton Genty, Boise State. A lot of people have him as a top 3 prospect in this entire draft. How do we feel about him as a running back? NFL comparison, Mr. Bishop, go.
Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott coming out of Ohio State.
Zeke Elliott coming out of Ohio State. That's not bad. Let's see.
That's what the style reminds me of. That's the stride is kind of similar. The bounce off ability, the game. He's never gets caught from behind. Zeke never got caught from behind much. Yeah, Zeke coming out of Ohio State, which by the way would be worth one of those teams picking him in that area.
Zeke.
So the one I've seen a little bit is, and you mentioned it earlier, maybe even a little faster Marshawn Lynch.
That's not that far from Zeke.
No.
We'll move on. North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton. Ashton Genty reminds me of a faster Maurice Jones-Drew, by the way.
He's not that little, is he?
He's bigger than that. I think he's more like Zeke's size, isn't he?
He might. I don't know. Is he a little like that?
Yeah.
Omarion Hampton. So in my mind, I thought Omarion Hampton was a different kind of player than ever since I started kind of really looking into what he is. 6 foot 221, so he's a little bit of a bigger back. I've seen some people say that he reminds them of, believe it or not, our former running back, currently, hopefully returning running back, Nick Chubb.
I think I'm like a poor man's Jonathan Taylor.
Okay.
On Omarion Hampton. Poor man's Jonathan Taylor.
CBS says Brian Robinson Jr., so he's a bruiser. That's what that would tell me.
Mm-hmm. Arizona State running back Cam Scadaboo.
It's a tough one. I mean, it's such a layup to say Peyton Hillis for so many reasons.
No.
He does have that bounce. People bounce off of him. He takes a punishment, man.
Oh, yeah.
He really can take a punishment. I was shocked in the Texas game, Arizona State-Texas game. He took a beating in the first quarter and a half. And Texas has got dudes who lay lumber, and they laid lumber on him. And I was really, really ready to tweet, this is what happens you play a real defense. And then he went nuts in the second half, and they bounced off of him, and they could not tackle him. And that's a big-time grown man defense at Texas. Do you have one for Scadaboo?
Yeah, so I was going to say Ben Jarvis Green Ellis.
Ooh, what a pull.
Great name. It's a great name.
The law firm.
What a pull.
Or maybe, right? Isn't he a big physical?
He's big, physical.
Or a natron means business?
He's a little bit, there's a little James Conner in him too, I think, maybe. The kid from Pitt.
Yeah.
Kind of a physical.
James Conner's very upright, though.
Yeah.
I like. What about maybe if he can maximize what he actually is, and I don't think he'll be as good as the person I'm about to say was in the pros, but maybe is he like a little Marion Barber?
I think you say Marion Butts. I was going to say, yeah.
Marion Butts.
Natron means business.
I said Natron means business.
Yeah.
I was doing the good nicknames.
Yeah,
but
those are
Marion
good.
the Barbarian was
That's a good one too, yeah.
a violent runner, a bulldozer.
Yeah.
All right, we will hit Travion Henderson next. Z, I know you like this guy a lot.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't seen this comp nearly as much as maybe I thought I was going to see this comp.
Yeah.
But he reminds me of, maybe he's not as explosive, because if he were, maybe he'd be talked about earlier than this. But he does remind me a lot of like a Jahmyr Gibbs.
I wrote Alvin Kamara.
Kamara, okay, which is good.
Yeah. I think he's got Gibbs in him. He's probably not as fast, straight line, but he also, Texas couldn't catch him. Incredible receiver out of the backfield. Probably the best pass pro blocker running back in this draft. Like, just never misses a blitz pickup ever.
Yeah.
Does all the right things. Kind of the one thing he's not crazy about is like between the tackles, that type of stuff. But screen game, all of that. And I don't want this to sound like I don't think he can be an every down back, because I think he can be. But
certainly
there's a
Alvin
style
Kamara
to
can
it.
be.
Yeah. That's Kamara's what I went with on him.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch that playoff run, like he could house it at any time. You think against Tennessee, against Texas.
Yeah.
Fun to watch. So
what
we'll
do
go
you,
to the other.
who's your comp for him? I saw the Ringer has the comp for him as Austin Eckler, who was, I think he's got a little more juice.
He's
but
more natural runner, I think, than Eckler, and I don't think he's quite the receiver that Eckler is.
Eckler was a beast.
Yeah, I think Travion might be a little bigger.
I can't tell
but
where
maybe I'm
CBS
wrong.
has these guys ranked. I keep looking in their thing to find them because I want to. Do you think he and Judkins would be somewhere near the 20 to 40 range? I don't see either one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Brees Hall kind of comes to mind for me. I think they're
Brees
similar
Hall.
receivers.
Brees Hall's. That's somebody that supposedly could be available. I wouldn't mind wetting my beak on Brees Hall.
We'll go to the other Ohio State guy,
this
Quinshon
one.
Judkins.
This one's easy for me. I think it's all there.
What do you got?
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Yep, I've seen that.
He runs like Kareem Hunt. He's violent like Kareem Hunt. He hits a hole. He sticks his nose in. Even some of the upright style, high legs, like some of that stuff Kareem used to do when he would get hit and then bounce off of it. And I think he runs like Kareem Hunt. Q does.
I like it.
CBS. So the Ringer had Kareem Hunt. CBS has Rashad Penny. CBS has him as the number 94 prospect in this draft, and Travion
guess who
is number
picks
98. And they have Travion as Kareem Hunt. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
to
that
me.
makes no sense. No.
much
Q's
throwing
like
that up.
Q's like Kareem Hunt. I think there's I don't know if he'll be as good as Kareem was at Kareem's best when Kareem was as good as anybody, but I think about the Kareem we had here, and at times that was really, really good. I think Q has that in him.
All right. There's your running back draft comps. We'll hit pass catchers tomorrow.
There you go, G-Man. Good stuff out of you. All right, coming up next, second hour of the program. Mike Mayock going to join us, so that's fun. You have that to look forward to, which is very nice. He's coming up at 2:30. All sorts of mock drafts out there that we're going to have a little fun with as well. Second hour of the program, you listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. All right. You want us to do a mock draft? Is that where we're at here? That's what we're doing?
That's right.
All right. By the way, the amount of time – I didn't realize that ESPN had this on their site. I haven't fiddled around with it much. They have a full NFL draft simulator.
Can I tell you how
that
many
goes all the
mock
way
drafts
through.
the G-Man does on a daily basis?
How many does the G-Man do on a daily basis?
A lot of people are saying.
People are saying that G-Man does a lot
Does
of
a
them.
great many.
A great many of them.
He's
Listen,
currently doing one right now.
the current one that I just did, choosing with us as 2, has Tennessee taking Travis Hunter at 1.
Okay.
So they've got this mock had Travis Hunter going to Tennessee at 1. So that allowed for me to take Cam Ward at 2. And then the rest of the draft went through. I ended up taking Travion Henderson at 33, offensive tackle Cameron Williams out of Texas at 67, tight end Gunnar Helm out of Texas at 94. So that's the way that went. But I would just tell you, the amount of time that I would have spent on this as a kid,
Limitless.
Yes.
I mean, this thing's unbelievable.
A great many hours.
Look at this.
Yeah.
You pick your team. All right, let's go. Load it. Let's go. Start it. Do you want to make a trade? We're sitting here at 2. Do you want to make a trade?
Sure.
Do you?
Let's go to 1.
Make a trade. 2 Tennessee. What are you going to give them? You're going to give them 233,
No.
267,
Yep.
and 94?
No. And
No?
a future third.
I don't know if I can do that. Let's see. Future third. Let's see if that does it. Should we try that?
Yep.
Now we're picking 1. Problem
if
solved.
that's all it takes, kids.
Problem solved. All right, Browns at 1. Let's start this sucker. Away we go. Oh, the only thing that stinks here, though, is we don't. All right, so Cam. All right. Oh, baby. Yeah, draft him. Okay. Abdul Carter 2. Shedeur Sanders 3 to the G-Men
How about it?
is how that goes. That sets off a chain of events that sees Travis Hunter drafted now the draft is ongoing. Oh, baby. All right, hold on. I'll get to 33 in a second. That set off a chain of events with us making that deal that saw Travis Hunter drop to number 4 to the Patriots. So based on us trading up to 1, Cam at 1, Abdul 2, Shedeur 3, Travis Hunter 4 is the way that the top 4 went at that point. Genty went 8 to the Panthers.
I don't think that's happening.
All right, so now we're on the clock at 33. Continue draft. Players available. Who do you like out of these? All right, put your thing down for a second. You got to help me here. We're doing this. We're in the middle of it. So we've got Cam.
Yeah, Zagura didn't bring his tablet. He was working
Travion.
into a shoot.
I was worked into a shoot.
All right, there you go.
Travion, let's go.
Now we got Cam and Travion.
Who did we take?
We took Travion Henderson, so we have Cam and
Okay.
Travion.
I like where this is going
All right,
so
so
far.
they'll draft him. All right, now away we go. And we'll see. Oh, we don't have 67, though, because we traded that.
We missed Ibuka by 1 pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ibuka
I mean, how much
lasted
time
to
would you have
66.
spent on this? I'm going to show this to the boys tonight.
Yeah, for the next 48 hours, run wild.
They're locked in.
Who needs homework?
Yeah, you don't need it.
Oh man, not having
That is your home.
67
That's
hurts.
it's a painful blow. Look at what's in the mix here in this 60s. Jalen Milroe went 76. Just went. Did you see that?
I did. All right, here
All
we
right,
go.
here we go.
94. All right, can you give me?
All right. So the top Cam Scatabo still on there at 94.
Well,
He's
we
in the
already got
mix.
it back.
We've already drafted when we got
Yeah.
Travion.
This is not good. We've missed out on the tight ends.
Harold Fannin Jr. is gone.
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 Very sad.
We've already done running backs.
Yeah, we've got.
Although good value there back there. Who do you got at receiver? Do you got anybody with a little bit of speed?
I mean, I don't mind Jack Beat. What's his name? Jack Beck. Yeah,
Out of
I like
TCU?
him. Yeah.
Go ahead, get nuts.
Hold on. Let's look at him. Let's look at the edges.
Look how did we just now discover this?
Yeah, this is good fun.
We could have done one of these every day. It would have been a
We've done it
segment.
every day. We could be doing this.
I think that's what I'm going to do. Safety. What do you think of this Penn State safety? Jalen Reed. Yeah.
He's a nice player.
He's a nice
He's
player.
a nice player. Yeah.
We need safeties.
We do.
Take him.
Need some
Throw it
depth.
in there.
We're going to take Jalen Reed here.
Oh, it'll keep going.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get
Full
Beck.
draft.
We're going to see if we can get Beck right here.
Oh, that's it. Is that all we
Oh,
get?
that's all we get? We don't get in the 4th round?
So that
That's
trade.
because do you really want to take 4 6th rounders?
No, probably not.
So we get Cameron and Travion.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though, that we weren't able to get.
Now, the
One of those
PFF one, you can do the whole mock, by the way.
You go all the way through.
Oh, yeah. G-Man's gotten a couple A-pluses from the PFF folks.
Well, they're very excited. Oh, you can go to 7 if you want. I stopped it at 3.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
All right,
start
let's
a new
stay
one.
At, let's
New
stay
one.
at 2, no trade.
No trade. All right.
Stay at 2, no trade. Stay at 2, no trade. All right. The Tennessee Titans are on the. Are we ready to start?
Yeah,
We're going to stay
start
at
it.
2, no trade. All right. Tennessee looks like they got.
They took Cam Ward.
I can't move it.
Yep.
Okay,
All
Cam.
right, we're going to take Travis Hunter.
All right. Where is he? There
Right
he
there.
goes.
Draft.
Let's go. All right. Let it. Come on. Draft it. Let's go.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Here you go. Abdul went 3. Mason Graham 4.
Genty 8 again. Shador 9 to the Saints. So that's sad.
I'm just not convinced
Dart.
that the Saints are taking
Dart.
13 to
went-
the Seahawks.
Wow. Seattle. Dart went high. Oh, baby. All right. So we've got.
All right.
This is intriguing. Your boy.
Arroyo. I guess we're not going to be able to get him later, but I feel like we could. Maybe.
That would be a big. James Pierce is a dude. The D end out of Tennessee. I know we got 100 D ends,
Yeah.
but that would be tough to pass.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. All right.
I mean, now all of a sudden
Now
you're
we got
talking
James Pierce, so we've
We've
got
now
Hunter
figured
and a
that out.
stud edge, so all the Carters will be happy.
Yep. And knowing what we know, because we've done our homework with our mocks, we know we're going to get a good running back at 67 if we want one.
Yes. Or a tight end. I'm trying to see
Or
if
we could
can
go
get-
quarterback there too.
If Arroyo can fall there.
So here we should be coming up here right now
All right,
on
so
us.
right now, who do we have? We have Hunter,
Yeah, we got Hunter and we've got
Pierce.
the D end out of Tennessee. All right, so now here we're sitting. Tyler Shuck is the top overall player still on this board.
We're at 67 right now.
We're at 67. We have Travis
See,
Hunter.
Pull your mic next to your.
We have Travis Hunter and we have Pierce out of Texas. Went D end. I do think Caleb Johnson's a really good player out of Iowa.
I kind of like Mason Taylor here. Mason Taylor or Caleb Johnson.
I'm down with Mason Taylor, the tight end.
Yeah, I think we need a tight end. Run this offense.
Take it.
Been
Take
here
it.
for a bit.
And I think we have a better shot at getting a running back at our next pick. Than we do
94, I believe.
A tight end. Yeah.
All right. So there you go. All right. So you got Hunter, you got Pierce, and you got the tight end out of LSU, right? Is that who
Yep.
you picked?
Caleb Johnson went 79. Yep.
Okay.
Tight end Taylor. Here we go.
Okay. Oh, Scadaboo would be tough to turn away there.
What about
James
Dylan?
Stewart.
What about Dylan Sampson?
Dylan Sampson in the mix too. Who's our quarterbacks? What quarterback would we have here? Sampson would be a nice fit. He's a good
Sampson's
player.
a very good fit.
Will Howard,
and
Quinn
Dylan
Ewers,
Gabriel,
Dylan
and McCord.
Gabriel, and
We're
McCord.
golden. We're golden.
So we're fine on that side of things. Yeah, I think you take you the running back you like. You like Dylan Sampson?
I like Dylan Sampson.
People like Tootin for us. Dylan Sampson, I've seen mocked to us a lot. I like Dylan Sampson. We'll take Dylan Sampson. All right.
Okay. 2 volunteers.
Sampson.
Hopefully they do better in Ohio than they did the last time.
Running
I didn't say it.
Rocky Top.
Oh, look at picking right away again here in the 4th round, are we?
back. Then let's grab the court. Let's grab a quarterback. that
Tackle
gives us a
here wouldn't be
swing.
the worst either with Williams.
You think we can wait on McCord? We can try to wait into the 5th.
I'm not. I know that our boy Siciliano loves McCord. I don't know.
You're not crazy.
It doesn't strike me.
Where's the beast? What do we know about Cameron Williams?
I like him out of Texas, the tackle out of Texas.
All right, we'll take him. All right, at 104, we got tackle.
Look at this draft. This is a hell of a
Williams.
draft we're putting together here, buddy.
Yeah.
We're ready.
All right, then we'll see what the beast says about our draft.
Ooh, Beast might bury our draft. It's hard to say.
So we don't have a 5th, so we're waiting now. To
It's going to be a long wait. This
to
will
the
be a long
quarterback
wait
to
for
see
the
if we can
quarterback.
get anybody there. At that point,
Yeah, that'll be a tough little stretch for us on
Oh, this is a
Saturday.
long stretch, dude.
During the draft show,
Give
that's
it.
going to be a real long stretch.
Give it. That's a long stretch, baby.
Long.
McCord's gone.
Package up those 6th and move into the 5th.
No, I
Come
like
on.
that. I like where you're. That's what we should have done. We should have.
Yes.
We should have made a trade.
Yeah.
We should have stopped it at our last pick and made a deal.
Should have paused it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Give me the quarterbacks. I will take Dylan Gabriel here.
Dylan Gabriel.
That's fine. At what pick is that?
We're well into it. 6th round.
All right.
Woo.
All right. We'll cut up there. I mean, at this point.
118 or 178. What was it? 178.
So we got
We're
Hunter.
picking again.
All right, here, hold on.
6th round, 192. Oh, baby.
goodness.
The beast fell. My God, the beast fell.
Segura's falling off a chair today. The
This is-
beast
No, that was
fell.
you, though.
We got to get through draft week.
We
gotta get through this
is
thing.
just a mess today.
This is what happens.
All right. I'm going to add a receiver
Hey, Z,
at
talking to the mic.
192.
This is what happens.
There you go.
All right, here we go. So quarterback.
This is not the segment we envisioned.
So Dylan
when we
Gabriel.
I think it's better.
right,
I think
hold on.
we're winning.
Dylan Gabriel's got
I'm enjoying it, guys.
This is everything
Dylan
you
Gabriel's
want.
got a 4th round grade on him.
The hell you guys
we
want
got him
here?
in the 6th.
I feel like a yakety sack music bed.
All right. I'm going to take by the way, I'm still
Do we have any
drafting.
tabs so I know when I'm switching positions here?
He's in the background. Not yet.
All right, Dylan Sampson, we got a 2nd round grade on our running back here in the 4th round.
That's nice.
Love it.
So that's good. Hunter obviously is a 1st round grade.
I picked Arian Smith, wide receiver out of Georgia at 192, by the way, for us.
All
But we're
right.
back on. Now we're picking 200.
Hold on. What did you say? Arian Smith? He's
Arian
got
Smith.
a 5th round grade. Arian Smith.
Okay, we're going to take him.
He ran a 4.36 40, 6
I love
foot,
that.
179. Obviously, we got the top receiver there. Let's go check.
What does he think of Daquan Felton?
Let's go look at the tight end.
Give me Daquan Felton because I just drafted him.
What position?
Wide receiver at 206. I'm going weapons, all weapons. Weapons be damned. And we're picking again. Now we're in this. God almighty, how many 6s do we have?
Too many. 4.
We
I
had
think.
4. We
It's
have
too
4
many.
6s.
Too many.
We should have traded back in.
I
was
need
the
to
other
get
guy you
rid of
just
those
picked?
6s in
I
the
don't
worst
know.
way on Saturday.
All right, let me go look.
Otherwise,
at
Oh,
our
the
gonna
kid
be
out of
until 9
Virginia
o'clock.
Tech.
All right, tight end wise, Mason Taylor. We got a 1st or a 2nd round grade on him. I think we've nailed this draft. All right, the tackle we took Williams. Let's see this guy.
This is appropriate.
Yeah. He didn't like Cameron Williams as much. 4th round grade, got him in the 4th, so he's saying that's spot on. That's the only person we didn't get value on. And then let's see the defensive end.
Pierce,
Yep, we're looking.
Tennessee.
Pierce is his 7th edge in the class, and he's got a 2nd round grade on him.
All right.
So that wasn't as much of a value as we maybe wanted it to be.
No, not according to his. All right, so we ended up with. So I filled it out. I finished it up.
Like the 7th rounder is like the second to last pick, I feel like. It's
Yeah, it's
almost Mr. Irrelevant.
255. So our final picks were, after Dylan Gabriel, were Arian Smith, wide receiver out of Georgia
Yep.
at 192. Daquan Felton, wide receiver out of Virginia Tech at 200. And then Junior Tafuna, defensive tackle out of Utah
Nice.
at 216. And then Cody Linderberg, linebacker, Minnesota at 255.
Love it. Love it. I like Hunter Pierce Taylor Sampson is a pretty strong start to this draft. I like that.
Yeah, let's see. I have no idea how we graded well. I have no idea. Well, we went up the Beast.
Yeah, we grade well on
We
the
were
Beast.
good on the Beast.
What's it say on there?
They don't give us a grade.
They don't give us a grade.
It
Nah.
should give us PFF gives you a grade.
No grade.
Should give you a grade.
PFF.
That's part of the fun is getting the grade.
Yeah, they do a chance available at pick and then chance available at next pick. So chance available at our pick on James Pierce was 78%. Chance available at next pick 4%. Is kind of the way that they did it. What did they have the Pukers doing?
The Pukers.
I'm checking for Peepaw Gibbe. They had him taking Malachi Starks out of Georgia
Ooh,
in the first round. They
I like
don't
that.
have him drafting a quarterback, so obviously the feeling would be that they would be drafting one. They have Cincinnati went Amarian Hampton at 17 overall and Harold Fannin Jr. Gibbe
Harold Fannin.
in the second
Jr.
round. It
For the
has
Squealers?
Bengals.
Ugh.
Bengals.
I don't like that.
Bengals going all offense first 3 picks is what they do. So I don't know about the
We're going to
algorithm
give up
here.
40, but we're going to score 41.
They're going to outscore you, baby. It's got the Ravens getting Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan in the first round. Jacob Parrish, corner out of Kansas State, is available there as well. That's a fun little tool.
That is a fun
Get the
little tool.
boys on that.
They'll like it.
I enjoy
They'll like
that.
it. I would just say this in terms of the draft, nobody knows anything.
Nope. No, they don't.
That's kind of the way that thing stands, but that's a fun tool. All right. Do you want to? We got Mayock here coming up. Do you
Yeah,
want?
we're just going to stack the Mayock.
We're going to stack to Mayock. That's what the boss said. So Mike Mayock, Westwood, an NFL analyst, former general manager of the Oakland Raiders at that time. Mike Mayock will join the program coming up next. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office at 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, Bo and Nathan with you. CBD, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We head out on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. We are joined by NFL analyst at Westwood One, former general manager of the Raiders, and of course NFL Network, Mike Mayock joins us. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time. It's obviously we're 48 hours or so away. When you got in the chair and it was you making the picks versus being an analyst and making the picks, the reason I ask is Nathan and I just did a mock draft on one of the sites and went through all 7 rounds, and you get a little juice. It's something on a computer, obviously, and it's all for fake. You did it for real. What was the biggest difference, or what was a perception you thought would be true and then was different in reality versus your previous job to then when you were the general manager of the Raiders?
I think the reality is the overriding pressure that comes with every pick versus just kind of doing a mock draft and having some fun. And I used to tell my buddies when I was at NFL Network and I knew all the GMs and head coaches and everybody, and I would talk to them before the draft. I would share kind of my not my 7-round mock, but my 7-round stack of what I called league value. And then I would have to do a mock draft on television, and they would all laugh at me. They're like, yeah, you do an hour mock and then go have a beer. We're picking picks and living with these. So it's just a whole different weight attached.
Mike, when you look at this, and obviously it is a weighty pick for general manager Andrew Berry when you hold number 2 overall in this draft. If you were Andrew Berry, if you were making these picks for the Cleveland Browns, what direction would you go at number 2? And for argument's sake, we'll just assume that Cam Ward is the number 1 pick in this draft.
Yeah, I think I'd be on the Travis Hunter boat. I think when you talk about a kid where people say, listen, he's the best corner in this draft, and other people say he's the best wideout in the draft.
Yeah.
And the first time I put his tape in, what I thought I was going to see was kind of a corner, playing spot duty on offense. And the first tape I put in, he played like 150 snaps.
Yeah.
And to put context, if you're a starting corner in the NFL, you're probably playing, if you play every snap, you're playing 65 snaps a game.
Yep.
This kid was playing 150 to 150. His conditioning's off the chart. I know GMs who would play him at corner and use a package of plays on offense. And I think it's interesting that Andrew Berry's gone the other way, just like that's why it's such a compliment to this kid. Andrew Berry is going, yeah, we see him as a wide out first. I think it's a little more difficult that way. Because working him into defense on the defensive side of the ball, I think is a little more difficult than working him into the offensive side of the ball. But he's a special kid, and no matter who takes him, I can't wait to see what happens.
Mike, what do you, as you mentioned, Andrew said that if he is the pick, that they see him as a receiver and then the defensive side of him. Quite honestly, the Browns need help at playmaker. When you watch the tape of him, and no one's ever done what he's done in college football. No one's ever attempted it. Offensively, what do you see in him, and what type of weapon would he be?
Offensively, the kid had 96 catches and 15 touchdowns. His ability to separate in short areas is outstanding. He's not a 4.29 guy, but his speed is also really good. So the separation ability is innate and natural. The hands, the ball skills are outstanding. Incredible. I love the fact that when you line him up against the corner, whether it's press or off, he can create separation. And I do think he has to get stronger at either position. 183 pounds. I think he can get to 193, 195 over the next year to two. But time on task at either position. And so I think it's really important that let's assume it's Cleveland that takes him. I think that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have to have a plan. Okay, he's going to be a wideout first, and we're going to use him on defense. Okay, well, how do we use him on defense? Nickel, dime? Is it a game-to-game thing? How many minutes a day is he on the defensive side of the ball in practice? What's he doing sitting in the meetings? Because his conditioning's off the charts. He's supposed to be a really intelligent kid. I think the bigger issue is, how much can he handle mentally? And is it just, okay, you're going to get a package on the opposite side of the ball, or are we really going to try and integrate you deeply into both sides?
It's going to be fascinating. He is unique in that way, and that will be certainly something to watch if the Browns do select him at number 2. I wanted to ask you, kind of, as you know, we always talk about the phone's ringing, and now we're seeing all these reports. People are calling the Browns. They won't put the phone down. We were having a discussion about, okay, so we're at number 2. Travis Hunter is considered a blue chip prospect in this draft. Abdul Carter is, and maybe let's say there's 6 just for argument's sake. If you were the GM at number 2, are you trying to only move down if you're staying in that blue chip tier? And if the answer is you'd go outside of it, does that significantly raise the price of moving down for you as a GM?
Yeah, I think I would probably be talking with my head coach about, if we were to move down, number 1, how far would we be willing to go? And every draft is different.
Yep.
In this particular draft, I don't think you'd want to get past 8 or 9 maximum. So, if New Orleans came up and wanted to get to 2, for instance, I think you could still get a blue chipper, assuming they're taking a quarterback. But that's kind of the end of it.
Okay.
After that, I think there's a dip. So if somebody, it reminds me of years ago, Howie Roseman with the Eagles. He had the 12th or 13th pick, and he wanted to get up to 2 to take Carson Wentz, and he couldn't get to 2 in one jump. He had to go from 12 or 13 up to like 7 or 8,
yep,
and then get up to 2. He had to make 2 moves to get where he wanted because the team at 2 wasn't going to go beyond a certain place.
Yep.
So to me, that's the first thing. How far down will you go? And then the second piece is, if you are willing to go down to 5, 6, 7, 8, what's it going to cost? And obviously, each pick will cost you more.
Mike, when you were in the seat and you're this far out, 48 hours or so out from the draft, the day 1 of the draft, how much were you decided upon? In other words, your board was set. This is what we're doing. If this, or how much was there still ambiguity? I guess I'm curious because we've talked to Andrew a lot, and he says, well, and I don't know if he's telling the truth, but I think he's got to take a company line and just say, look, we haven't decided yet. But how much of that is true? How much had you locked in 48 hours before the draft?
I think when you're sitting at 2, that piece of it is fairly simple.
Yeah.
It's complicated a little bit by the trade rumors we talked about a moment ago, but I think he and Kevin are very intelligent individuals, and they've already defined what they will or won't do. So by this point, I think they ought to be locked and loaded unless something crazy comes in. And again, they're very smart individuals. They'll figure it out if something crazy comes in. But they ought to be locked and loaded at 2, and they ought to have a pretty good idea that if 2 is going to be, Travis Hunter, then what is the next plan, and how we've got 33, we got 67, 94. At what point does the quarterback come into this equation? How important is that this year in this draft to get a rookie quarterback? And where do we feel comfortable? Where's the sweet spot for us? That complicates things a little bit, I believe. But what every GM does, I think, is you have a pretty good feel the night before each of the 3 nights. In other words, you're going in the first round. You even if you're picking at 27 or 32, you've got a group of kids you'll accept that either you got 4, 5, 6 guys. I'm good with them. If your board gets wiped out, you better have somebody in your back pocket. I think back to New England. Bill Belichick told me once his board got completely wiped out. They were sitting at like 31 or 32. They had nobody. So they took what was in their back pocket was Logan Mankins, who ended up going to about 6 or 8.
Pretty well.
Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, he get second or third round grade. And the point was, if we get stuck, we better get a good football player, no matter what anybody else thinks. So I think by this point, and then what happens is after the first round, you go home and you sit down and you talk, okay, what's our plan for rounds 2 and 3? And then after the third round, you come home and you have the same thing. And I think one of the advantages the Browns have this year, and why I think they have to be nimble, is because picking at the top of the first round is obvious, but picking at the top again, heading into round number 2,
Yep.
you're going to get a bunch of phone calls. Sitting at the top of round number 4, you're going to get a bunch of phone calls. I mean, one year, my first year with the Raiders, I think we had picks 106 and 108, which were at the front of the 4th round. We knew we were going to take Max Crosby with 106 if he was there, and we moved down with 108 2 or 3 different times, and then moved back up in the 5th to get Hunter Renfrow. So creating those extra picks, and again, it was all because we were at the top of the round and teams wanted to move, and it gave us the ammunition to do it.
How do you weigh, and obviously for the Browns, a quarterback's still a major, major need for this team, and if, it isn't Shedeur at 2, how do you weigh being at 33 and saying, okay, let's get back into the first round? We have the first pick of the second round. Let's get back in the first round. It's a pick that's been traded 3 consecutive years, twice to go into the first round, once with somebody coming up to 33. But how do you kind of, as a general manager, weigh that and what you would give up to get that quarterback that you didn't want to take it to, but would now take for multiple theoretical assets and draft picks?
Yeah, they've already figured out and had conversations with other general managers. To me, the logical thing is, okay, you're sitting there with pick 33. How high up do we have to go? Let's investigate. To me, the logical points are 24 with Minnesota. They only have 4 draft picks.
Yep.
And should be looking to move down.
And they know each other very
Washington.
well. With Kwesi having been here. Yep.
Yep. And then at 29 with Washington, they only have 5 picks, the second least draft value in the league. Same conversation. So depending on where you think you have to get, you should have already had the conversations with these GMs about, hey, if I want to come up to 24 or I want to come up to 29 and you guys come down to 33, what would it take? So you already ought to know that. And if, and you already know the quarterback that you have in mind. Is it Jackson Dart? Is it Sanders if he went far enough? Or, it all depends on the value they place on those 2 quarterbacks. I would tell you one thing. I mean, it's interesting to me. I feel like around the league there's more interest in the second-day quarterbacks than I've seen in a while. And I would define those guys as like Tyler Shuck from Louisville,
Yep.
Milroe from Bama, Will Howard, Ohio State, and McCord from Syracuse.
Yep.
I think those 4 guys go in the second day. And it seems to me there are a lot of teams grinding those guys hard, more so than usual.
Interesting.
So you got to kind of know what your target is and where you need to be to get them.
Talking to Mike Mayock, Westwood One NFL analyst, formerly NFL Network, formerly general manager of the Oakland Raiders. Really good stuff here. Mike, Shedeur Sanders has been a constant topic for 2 months. A year ago at this time, most mocks had him going number 2 overall. Actually had Carson Beck going number 1 is the way Quinn Ewers was high on that too. What do you make of Shedeur? You've obviously seen a lot of him. You watch a lot of Travis film. If you watch Travis film, you watch Shedeur film. What do you see in him?
Yeah, I worked hard on his tape, and on the plus side, he's really tough. He took a beating behind a really poor line 2 years ago that wasn't a whole lot better this past year. He's tough. He's accurate at all 3 levels. Has an innate touch, level 3, the deep ball, drop it in a bucket. All those things I really like about him. Athletically, he's good, but not great, not dynamic. He's got some pocket situational awareness stuff that I think is really caused more by the fact that his O-line was so bad, he got in some bad habits, and I think he can break them. But I think he does everything well. I don't think he's got one elite trait where you go, wow, that's our guy, unless you look at his body work and see what he did at Jackson State in Colorado, taking bad programs to where he took them. So you got to give the kid a ton of credit. At the end of the day, and I used to work with his dad at NFL Network and have a lot of respect for him. At the end of the day, what I hope for the kid and for the franchise to take him is the right fit. Forget about whether you go 2 or 3 or 21 or 34 or wherever. if you get to the right situation at the right time, he'll thrive.
Yeah, and that's the key. That's the key, and I think this would be a wonderful fit for him. Talking with Mike Mayock. Mike, can you give us one more little kind of just peek behind the curtain? Because I think people feel like when teams get together that there's just consensus in the room. But you have so many area scouts. You have so many, the coaches have their opinions. You have people under you as a general manager, your director of player personnel. You've got your assistant general manager. Everybody's got their own opinions. How hard is it to actually get it, down to the consensus opinion? And how often does the GM have to say, this is what it is because I'm the GM and this is what I think?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and the scouts live with every draft for over 11 months a year.
Yep.
The coaches come in late after the season, and every team in the league is different in how much input the coaches do or don't have.
Yep.
So it's really important. I'll tell you what's interesting is from a scout's perspective, it's fairly, I would say, I don't want to say easy, but it's part of our jobs to get the board down to the point when you're stacking the board by position, you can get it there, and you feel very comfortable by the end of the combine and your board is pretty much set by position. The hard part, and I don't think people really understand the distinction that much, the hard part is taking that board and then translating it to your final board where you're listing your players 1 to 130 or 150 or 200, however many you're listing.
Yep.
And you've got several players with the exact same grade from different positions. So if you've got 7 guys with a 6.8 grade, how do you differentiate and filter between each of them? And that's where it gets really interesting because guys got to stand on the table for their guys. But at the end of the day, what's most important is what is best for the building, not my guy or your guy. In our building, we had a lot of coach input because Coach Gruden had kind of final say at the end. So there was an awful lot of input, and we had to filter it all through at the end and say, okay, here's our board.
Mike, I can't thank you enough for your time. That's as illuminating of an interview as I think we've done on this show. Maybe it's
ever.
Way up there. That was
from
amazing.
this standpoint. Yeah.
It was awesome. It was great to learn all of that, and thank you for sharing it with us today and giving us a little bit of your time.
Yeah, I hope the Cleveland Browns feel like they're a lot better at the end of the weekend. Good luck, fellas.
So do we.
Us
Thank
too.
Thank you. Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was
really,
really cool.
So I get to see him sometimes throughout the season because he's doing
the Westwood One
games. Yeah, well, we have games. He great dude.
Yeah,
great dude. Loves ball. Is always very engaged in anything you ask him. Very thoughtful, and you saw that right there. And I think it's unfortunate for him that it didn't work out the way that probably he wanted. And obviously, he mentioned a little something there about the way that their dynamic was probably different than most buildings in the NFL.
Yeah, and I hope
that's what it is.
And I hope for our audience an understanding of how this works.
Yeah.
How the process works and what the next 48 hours are like from a guy who sat in the seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. So we were on a text thread this morning as I was doing my morning show, and among the topics of discussion was Melrose Place came up in it. Gibbe, good job out of you.
Yeah, that was great.
Which then got me thinking about there was a run there where that starting lineup that was in that open
Elite.
was 8 deep.
Elite.
It was every scene.
Elite.
I don't think the Hoff has seen it.
No, he's probably just young enough.
He's probably a little too young.
Too young.
We just had a conversation with the fine gentleman on the side
no
of the glass.
chance for that.
No way.
No. Mallrats, no. Clerks. We brought up Jay and Silent Bob, and they were like,
Who?
Yeah, they don't have. But that's
very sad.
Here's the thing that our generation got that their generation and like our children's generation will not have, and that is cable television, stuff just being on.
And that's what you watch.
And you watched what was on.
There's no
You didn't have
on-demand.
an ability to watch idiots on YouTube. Reviewing sneakers. You didn't have an ability to watch anything you wanted on any streaming service. You watched what was on, and that's how things like Mallrats became a thing. Because I didn't get that on. I didn't watch it on DVD. I watched it on cable first. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
I
and
need
then
to
you get the
this.
DVD.
And then like, wow, this
You
is
either
better.
had to own something
physically
physically
own
on
it.
DVD,
1 minute.
or
1
you had to
minute.
go to Blockbuster and hope that what you wanted to be in stock was there. And in many cases, if it wasn't a new release, there were like 1 or 2 of them, and in most cases, 1 of them. And if somebody got it, they got it. And guess what? You didn't.
You didn't. It was that. It was that
Correct.
simple.
Yeah.
All right. One day closer, kids. One day
Let's
closer.
go.
Great. Mayock, the Mayock stuff. Put that up. I know we're going to put that up on this. That was awesome.
Yeah, so good.
Really good window into how decisions
30,
are made.
30.
The next level is coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.